Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Lili Nishmas Mordechai. I thought this is a cute little story from yesterday. A kiss from Hashem to me. I'd like to share with you a clip from yesterday's shir, and I'll explain. It's Maaser Shahaya. I said this in shir. I was once, for some weird reason, I went on top of my plot, like on the top shelf where I can't reach. Certainly my wife and other people can't reach. I took a chair, went up there, and I see a pile of money. And I realized that I put that pile of money there. It was mine, like a matana. Like, wow. So I was thinking about it yesterday, and I went back to that shelf. I know that I don't put money there anymore because I'm not going to be crazy. So I go back to that shelf just to see, like, I was thinking about the Maaser. And what do I find? A bottle of open wine. It's probably there for 3 months already. My wife put it there because she didn't want, because we have help, whatever. Okay. You know what happened yesterday? So this is the Maaser. I put money up on the shelf. I didn't know about it for who knows how long, a year, 2 years. I went up there once. I don't know what I was doing there. I found the money. That I said yesterday in shir. Yesterday afternoon, you can't make this stuff up. It happened yesterday afternoon. A woman calls up my wife and says, "Are you Mrs. Stefansky?" "Yeah." "Your name is Fegi?" "Yeah." "Your husband is Eli?" "Yeah." "I found your ksuba on top of my refrigerator in Arzei Habira 47. We didn't have, we had to do a star irkasa, whatever. I guess that's my nature. I put things high up and forget about it for a while. Yesterday. No, the star the irkasa. It's I already lost my ksuba by the chasana. We made a star the irkasa and apparently lost that also in Arzei Habira 47 26 years ago. It's been on top. No, you make another star the irkasa. It was sitting on top of the refrigerator. I'm talking about it yesterday. This woman, she didn't know who we were. It says Eli and Fegi from Chicago. She did some research. She found out yesterday. Shalom Aleichem, what's your name? Shalom Aleichem, from Flatbush. Givaldic. What's your name? Hold on, we have more. Shalom Aleichem, what's your name? Yo, what? Also from the kotel from yesterday? Wow, 2 people from the kotel yesterday. I had a anachas tefillah for my son. No, him, I met his wife came over to me. So I guess he said, what'd you say? That if your wife saw me, then I have to come also. You have to come also. All right. And you're Rabbi Winehouse. Oh, White House. All the way from Lakewood, New Jersey. I know him for years. I know him so well, I don't even know his last name. What's your first name, Tzaddik? Binyamin White House. Yeah, not White House. All right, close, but not real. Okay, Yishkoyach for coming, Rabbi Yisai. Who else do we have here? Guest? Anybody? Did you bring who's that with you? Hi, Shalom Aleichem, Dad. Come on in. Dear Belly, it's 3 a.m. in the morning. Motzi Shabbos, couldn't sleep, so I turned you to do today's daf, Lamed Gimel. I wrote to you, Chol Hamoed. And then I started in Siyum, Miami, that it should be as good for myself and well as others to put a kidney transplant. He's on the kidney transplant list. I would like to give a shout out to my Chavrusa, Shmuel Soroka, in the Lakewood Koil here in North Miami Beach that arranged an awareness swabbing party here in Miami Beach with a great organization. He got 200 people to attend and more than half of them did swabbing. I'm full of Akarsa Toiv to Hashem that I live in such a great community, as well as having such great friends. There is Hashem that will find the kidney for me so that I can continue to do the daf with you that I so much enjoy till I'm 120. Pesach Moshe ben Hinda bracha Goodman. Pesach Goodman. Refuah Shlomo and Shafar kidney Bekar. You mentioned in today's Daf Yomi Gittin 35 about Tehillim on Klaf. Not sure if you're aware, there's a project called Tehillim on Klaf Tefillah. Check out the website with dozens upon dozens recording an important big Talmid Chachamim, reading Tehillim from Klaf and praising the project just for an FYI. Good morning. I'm amazed before I started your share, I didn't finish a Masechta in my lifetime. Now I'm going on to finish my 14th Masechta. I started with you Masechta Rosh Hashanah and didn't miss a day since. This is Yankee Brock. So I want you to remember Yankee Brock whenever he shows up here, because he's coming soon. Yankee Brock, B-R-U-K. Emir Hashem, I'll be in there to show this coming week. But you know how I am. He's going to say Yankee Brock, so you're going to have to remind me. The guy from the email. Thank you for what you do for all of us, and my mishpacha, and thanks to my cousin Shlomo Klein for getting me hooked. May you have a bracha, mazel, and shefa from Hashem. Have a wonderful day, Yankee Brock. Rabbi Sai, we're moving forward, the koilel is sponsored by Anonymous from Lakewood. L'refuas, my mother-in-law. Remember Binyamin, the mother-in-law. Shlamis Esther Bas Beila, l'refuas shlema. And the koilel is sponsored. Nishmas Zachari ben Moshe, Nishmas B'tzal ben Moshe. The Masech is sponsored by Moshe Banda to thank Hashem that I'm able to thank Him for everything that I have. The month, Nishmas Chaim bas Yosef. The month, Hashem should open up all the tzinorot bracha for Baruch Tzvi Nissim ben Shoshana Lea. Third Parnas HaChodesh, Jeff Rosner. MEIR to a remainder, Nishmas Yosef, Simcha, Chaim ben Shlomo Yehuda, Shlomo should have an Aliyah. Avraham Kahen, Neshama of Emuna, Rivka, Bat, Binyamin, who was 20 years old in my community, passed away, and her father and brother sitting shiva, and they're missing the Torah that they used to learn. Brain, what do you do when people sit shiva and they finish shiva? They skip ahead 7 daf. You don't try to make it up. Rabbi said, don't try to make it up. Brain intact. Unleash your full potential. Should be tremendous success in all my endeavors. Second Parnas Hayoim by MEIR, formerly Martin Lifshutz, another formerly Shkoyach, living the daf. Honor of my tzedekes wife Randa, who didn't change her name yet, on her 35th wedding anniversary today. I stuck. Obviously, he didn't write that. I don't think she's going to appreciate that. Let's cut. No, we're not cutting. Art of the month. Let's say there. For complete refuah for Chaim Tzvi ben Lea. Rabbi Sai, we're holding Daf Amud Beis, and the Mishnah tells us that an almana should not swear in order to get her ksuba, and therefore she doesn't get a ksuba, but she has a way out of it. She can make a neder. Also, is it the right to be over on the neder? And then the Gemara asks, but what good is a neder? Even if she makes a neder, she could do one of these. She could go in front of 3 chachamim, and they could be mater neder. This is hafaras neder of the husband. This is hataras neder of a bezdin. They ask a few questions, and they decide it wasn't even a neder. So she wants to collect this big suba. She goes to bezdin and says, I am making a neder. I won't eat food forever if I'm going to be over in the neder. So they say, okay, you seem like you're serious, and it's this is their rights to break the neder. She collects her ksuba. A minute after she collects her ksuba, she goes in front of a bezdin and says, listen, I made a neder, I'm not going to eat food anymore. They forget to ask her why and how. I made a neder, I was stupid, I made a neder, I'm not going to eat food. Okay, mutulach. She gets her ksuba, she doesn't have to worry about a neder. So the Gemara says, because we hold, like the Manda Omer, that you have to be mefaret the neder. You have to explain everything about the neder. Why it happened, why you did it, where you did it, under what circumstances. Once Chachamim here, the reason, they're not going to be matir. Ibayluhu. 8 lines from the bottom. Tzarech lefaret es haneder, oy einoi tzarech lefaret, oy einoi tzarech. You have to be fair. Now, this reminds you a little bit of the lashon that we say, do no raboisai, kiv shlefartam, kirabim heim. So, if a person knows about a certain neder that he made, if a person makes a neder, maybe to be mizarez himself in a mitzvah, and he wants to be matir the neder on Erev Rosh Hashanah, he shouldn't be soymach on just the loose lashon that we use on Rosh Hashanah. He should take the dayanim and he say, listen, I have a serious neder that I made. My entire life I was eating chol Yisrael only, and now I started eating chol stop. Whatever it is, whatever's not, he should be mefared it. Okay. But the Gemara says, do you have to be mefared or not? Do you have to explain exactly what it is? Says the Gemara, Rav Nachman Omar, Eni tzorich, Rav Papa Omar tzorich. Rav Nachman Omar, Eni tzorich. Rav Nachman says you don't have to be mefared, you don't have to give all the details to the rabbis. The Armas tzorich, zivnin the guys levi lidibure. What happens if he chops off some of the information? Like in our case, she'll forget conveniently to explain that the reason why she made a neder, she's not going to eat food, is in order to collect the ksuba. The Chacham had the Shama Mefer, but the Chacham is just basing it on what she said. She said, I made a neder, I'm not going to eat food. She skipped 3/4 of the story, and therefore their hafara is not a hafara. She's a ganav. She took a ksuba without getting a hafara. She's breaking a neder. Rapapa Mahar Tzarech. You have to hear all the details. Mishum Milsadi Surah. Fakert. Exactly because of our sugya, we have to hear all the details. Let's hear. Maybe the reason why you made a neder is because of something we don't want to give you ataras neder. Says Tais is something very interesting. Says Taisus. Guy came in front of Rabbi Bun and he said, give me a Taurus neder. What's the neder? Let's hear. I'm not going to earn any money anymore. I'm done making parnasa. So instead of just relying on what he said and giving a Taurus neder, he kept on pushing. Who does something like this? Why would you say you're not going to make parnasa anymore? This guy had a gambling problem. He wanted to get out of his addiction. So he made a neder. If I ever gamble, I won't eat anymore. I won't have any protein anymore. Something serious. And now he regrets it. He wants to go gambling. His friends are going to Vegas or whatever. He wants to go. So he goes to the Rav. He says, listen, I made a neder that I'm not going to eat protein anymore. So the Rav could have said, okay, mutar lach, or he could say, listen, why? What happened? Now he realized I can't be matter this neder because I'm going to ruin it for the guy. He's going to ruin his life by gambling. So by us also, we have to dig deeper and to see the real reason why this woman decided that she made a neder. Once the Rav hears that there's a ksuba involved, he won't be matter. Tnan. Learned in the Mishnah, hustle. If a person, a Kahen, marries, let's say a grusha, someone that's puzzled him, he cannot do the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash. He could still be married to her, but if he says a neder, I'm making a neder that I'll never, if I have any anah from my wife, this and this is going to happen to me. I won't eat protein anymore. I won't eat food. Then he doesn't even have to divorce her on the spot. He's in the Beis Hamikdash. He really feels a connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He wants to do that avodah. He wants to go on the mizbeach and perform that avodah. So he makes a neder. He says, I'll never benefit from my wife. In other words, he's basically divorced, but not divorced legally. So he could do the avodah. Yored, noider va'oived. He makes a neder. V'tani Allah, sorry. Let's go back. No. He makes his mother-in-law, he's not going to have any anah from her. V'tani Allah, we explain. Noider, he makes the neder, va'oived, and he does the avodah. Yored, he goes off to mizbeach or wherever he's at, umegarish, and then he performs the gerusha. But if you say that he doesn't have to, explain to the Rabbanim, to the Dayanim, why made a neder? Let us be concerned that he's going to do the avodah and make a neder that he's not going to have anything to do with his wife. He's going to come off the mizbeach, run to the bezdin right away, and say, hey, I made a mistake, I made a neder, I was in my kas or whatever, I made a certain neder against my wife, please be matter. And if they don't ask any questions, he could do the avodah, perform the avodah, and get away with it. A Maaser Shahaya, there was a Rav, I forgot the exact names, there was a Hasidic Rebbe in a city, had the same story that we had in Chicago. I said this many times. In the Adas, there was a guy, a Kahen, that was married to a Grusha, and the Rabbanan Paskin, that as long as he's married to a Grusha, we can't be mitzvah from Minyan. He came every single day. It was very, very uncomfortable. He would sit there, he would finish one esrei, and we would wait for the 11th guy. I know the exact feeling, because it happened to me many times when he died in the Shtibloch and Ramah Bet. They saw they saw the guy with the shaved beard, you're not mitzvah, go to your shul. Anyway, it's not a comfortable feeling. What am I, garnished? Yes, you're garnished. Okay. Good, fine. So, what? Okay. I didn't say where in Ramah Bet. In Ramah Bet someplace. Anyway, so the first 5 minutes. Just say there. So this guy, so in Europe, what they did a very, very gishmaka trick. The Rav said to the entire city, there will not be any birkus kehanim on Yantif, on Shalosh Regalim, until this guy divorces his wife. End the story. Yantif comes and goes, no birkus kehanim. So people started getting mad. Once they got mad, they let it out on him. They kept on pressuring him. And then he divorced his wife. And when he divorced his wife, the Rav awarded him the schos of being the only kind in the city to do duchening that Yantif. That's what it was. Maaser Shaya. Says the Gemara. So we have this guy. Says the Gemara, top of Lamed Vav Amud Aleph. As we had yesterday, there's a very strong neder. If you do the neder in front of 10 people, then it takes effect and you can't be matir like that. Says the Gemara, that's great if you hold like that. that if you do it in front of 10 people, you can't go to a Rav anymore. You can't go to the Yadim. But if you hold that even a neder that was done in front of 10 people, you can go to the Bezdin and be made for it, what are you going to say? It says Gemara, the Madrin, there's even a stronger one. The Madrin lay al das rabbi. If you do it with their machshava, he's not in charge anymore. So he can't go to the Bezdin and say, well, if I would have known this and this and that, I wouldn't have made the neder, because we're not asking you. We're going to ask the 10 people. And the 10 people probably wouldn't give in. If you get all these 10 people and say, would you, if it was you, would you make this neder? Yeah. Some would say, yes. You have 10 people. You don't know what's going to happen. The kids, there's no hafaras and darim when it's al das, the 10. If it's in front of 10, okay. This is machlokes. But if it's al das, with their intent, with their machshava, then you can't break a neder like that. But there is one yotzim in a klal. The Omar Ameimar Hilchasa. This is the halacha. Afilu leman the Omar neder shuda b'rabbi yishlei afara. Even if you hold that if you make a neder from 10 people, you can break it in a bezdin al das rabbim. However, if you do it with their intent, with their machshava, ein lo afara. Can read my own right. Okay, right. V'hanimili says the Gemara l'dvar harishus. That's only if it's just a regular thing. If I don't do X, Y, Z, I won't eat protein. Okay, it's dvar harishus. Aval dvar mitzvah yesh le'afara. But if it's in order to be mekayim a mitzvah, so even if you make a neder in front of 10 people, it's breakable. Why? Al das the 10 people. Why? Because the 10 people will have das now to be mekayim a mitzvah. If you're going to take 10 yidden and say, hey, would you make this neder if you knew you couldn't perform this mitzvah? They would all say no. Of course I wouldn't make the neder. If I wouldn't make the neder is batal. Now, Rabbi Isai, comes the sugya that is the most popular sugya in my house. You know, my daughter knows the sugya about peh. Every time I say it, she says, you said it 100 times. She says it over. She throws it back at me, etc. This is coming up. This sugya is Omer Darsheni. But there's so much to learn from it. We, in our generation, are not going to understand anything. But it's a very, very powerful story nevertheless. Says the Gemara. I'll prove it to you. That if there's a mitzvah involved, then you could break a neder that was done with the intent and the machshava and the haskama of the rabbi. What's the story? Craziest story ever. Ki kahu makir dardike. There was a Rebbe in Cheder. The Adri, Rav Acha made a neder al das rabbim. He took 10 people. He said, listen, we're making a neder that this person won't step foot in school again. He's not going to teach anymore. Why? Because he would hit the children a little bit too much. Now, hold on a second, Mendy, before we go any further. First of all, a piece of art. Here, the Chinuch Quarterly Mechanech of the Year Award. Okay. The kid is shaking. Reberish, a master mechanech, shares his chinuch secrets. This is based on a real Rebbe that I had with a real stick that he had. I already told you that I was in a particular school in Borough Park, and one of the kids, I got hit on my hand with a stick many times. But the real cruel punishment that happened there was a radiator. You know, in New York, they have radiators. There's a radiator protector made out of metal, like a screen, so that the kids don't touch the radiator. The Rebbe lifted it up, put the kid in there, squished him in there like a sardine in an uncovered, like his one hand was like this, and the kid was there like for 20 minutes. Like his face pressed against the thing, and that's how he was. Fine. Anyway, at least they didn't get hit on his hand. But I want to share with you one of the most incredible Rashis you've ever seen in your life. Don't read it all in one shot. We'll read it slowly together. Rashi that's our sugya. Malke oisan umeisim. We have a Rebbe that murdered at least 2 children. Meisim, not mace. He hit them until they died. Says the Gemara, let's continue. Now that you know that this guy's a murderer. Va'adri Ravina. And Ravina said, we need a good Rebbe. Let's bring him back. Says the Gemara, incredible. We have a Rebbe who, number one, two things are going against him. He kills children. He has killed in the past. And also he made a neder in front of 10 people that he will never step foot in Cheder. You know what? What's more important? It's important that our children should have proper chinuch. And if he's a murderer, no, we'll deal with it. And the fact that we made a nether against him, we'll deal with it. We could break it. Because the most important thing in life is the proper chinuch for the children. Whereas in some places, we go for the Rebbe with the least experience because he takes the least salary. Or whatever it is. We're trying to cut corners. And we take a Rebbe that squeezes the Yiddishkeit out of our children. No, we're going to take a Rebbe that gives a geschmack. Once in a while, he murders a kid or two, nish gefährlich. But Lemaisa, he's the mechanech of the year, and we put him right back in. Do whatever you want with the story, but the idea is unbelievable. It's strong like anything. This Gemara actually doesn't go very well with my daughter's tools that she got from YouTube, but that's a different discussion. Retroactive trauma clarification. Yeah. Now, it happens to be...
This is retroactive.
Nishtanu atvoim. Right. No, today they kill neshamas. They don't kill the body. Fine. Different story. I'm just talking from experience, from the amount of emails from these people that had trauma in yeshiva that didn't learn for 20 years. We got to do something about these rebbeim. Start paying them better salary. I don't know what. We got to get good rebbeim in there. Maaser I'll tell you with me when I was in Cheder. The Rebbe said, Chevra, I'm warning you. I'm warning you. There's a Gemara in Makis that says, Harav shaharag potter. If I kill you, I'm potter. Nothing. I don't go to Gullus, says Rashi. Don't go to Gullus. I'm warning you. So me, the Mechutzev, I said, Rebbe, we're Ktanim. If we kill you, we're also potter. Who do you think you're threatening?
So many details for Kim and Tayo.
I don't want to say the truth that it's higher because then you'll say I was mechutzev when I was a kid. No, I was a perfect child. It wasn't me. Yeah, you know that the story is not true because if a kid ever said that in our generation, he wouldn't be here to talk about it. So, it says in the Mishnah that the Eidim sign a get. Why? They don't have to, but it's good for the world. It'll save people. It says in Gemara, what do you mean? It says in the Torah you should sign documents. Here we have that the Navi says, go buy fields in Eretz Yisrael. Don't worry, you're going to Golos. You'll be back one day. Go ahead and buy. But it says in the bottom of the pasuk, at the end of the Chasoim, you should sign. So if you sign a document for real estate, sign a document for a get. What's the difference? Going back, everybody knows this. We have Machlokes from MEIR and Belazar. What do they then do? What is that arrow there? I don't know. That's your arrow? Gary? The blue arrow in the corner, left corner? I'm sure. Oh. Rebbe Belazar holds Eidim Mesiri Karti. That the Eidim, we don't need a chasima. What we need is witnesses that see the divorce and they come to testify. So what's the big tikkun ha'olam? Tikkun Rabbanan and the chasima, they added an institute that you should also sign your name. If they tikkun ha'olam. Why? The zimnin the ma'is had it. Sometimes, a lot of times, Eidim die. Or they disappear. The bottom line is you can't find them. What's this woman going to do? The husband says, I never divorce you. Tikkun ha'olam. We fixed the world and we said, you know what? Let's add another layer. This Eidim that signed. I don't need to bring anybody alive here. Here, it's in here. If they didn't get divorced, they wouldn't have signed there. Rabbi Yosef even if you like MEIR, that ain't the chasimi karti. So what's the tikkun ha'olam? The Torah says you should sign. You're not going to believe this. Once upon a time, when a aid signed this get right over here, so instead of writing his whole name, this Gargir, I guess, he would just write, Ani Ploini aid. Bezeh Lashon, Ploini. I'm a Ploini aid. Why? I don't know, but that's how it was. So the takana was that they should say it like this: who you are, where you are, I can find you. Who's your father? Exactly like that lady in our Zerabira who found us because our name was in the Ksub. Mamish like that.
Well, that's the 80. Yeah,
I'm saying if you have at least this detail, you can go on it. You can figure it out. There's no phone number, but based on the names. It said Chicago, it said this, that, and she figured it out. In the beginning, it's just these words, literally. Now, what good is that? If you can recognize his handwriting, kosher, it's great. Sometimes just on the ani ploini, from the ploini, you break your head. Oh, this looks very familiar, so and so. Says not here. Again with the takanas. We made takana that let's say the name Avraham ben Yitzchak. Says Gemara with Simcha law. Well, you have to sign your name. What if you make some sort of symbol that's how you used to sign? Vaha, a bunch of examples. Rav Tayir Kavra. Rav would sign like a fish. Reb Chanina, today fish is like a different religion thing. Okay, Reb Chanina Tayir Charusa, a palm branch. He wouldn't sign his name. Palm branch means Reb Chanina. Rav Chizda, when Rav Chizda signed, Samach. It's like Bua. Well, Samach. I have a Samach in my name, Chizda. That's it. That's all you're getting from me. Rav Oishia Ayin. He has an Ayin in his name. Ayin. Rav Huna Tayir Mechusa, a sail. Very, very interesting. Because Ram Zulai, who's the grandfather of the Chida, check this out. He was on a ship that stopped off, I think, in Turkey. And as they got off, everybody got off the ship sank with all their belongings. So from then on, it was a big nace. He could have been in the middle of the ocean when it sank. It sank when they literally went on shore. He signed his name. This is his actual signature. He signed his name like a ship. A ship. And the Chida also signed, all the descendants, the Chida, they also signed similar to a ship. Based on, I don't know, based on this, but it says in the Gemara, the sail of a ship. Shani Rabbanon, the Bikim Simonayu. It sunk with him not on it. He just got off it. What? Okay. Says Gemara, you're right. A simin, signing a ship, a sail, a fish, that's only good for a Rav. Why? Because everybody knows that this Rav, he signs like a fish. He signs a samach. Says Gemara, very good. Today, 25 years later, when you see all the kol kaires and you see all the letters, this is his signature. But what about day one? How did anybody know that Rav Chizda's samach is Rav Chizda? How did it start? Says Gemara b'diyaske. When he wrote letters, or Shailas and Shuvah, says Rashi, and he sort of he signed it when he was younger, and eventually people got to know his signature. Hillel Itkin Prusbul. We're going back to the sugya of Prusbul. So again, Nanasam Prusbul and Mishamet. So, well, we don't have to show this now. So, what's a Prusbul? Again, a Prusbul is a document that says that even though I lent money to so-and-so, and Shemitah comes, and when Shemitah comes, it erases all loans. Imagine, a guy borrows money, and this happens a lot. Could I borrow $1,000 for a week? I don't know if it ever happened to you. I'm sure it did. To me, it happened many times. I'm sure it happened to you many times. Just for a week. The week comes, he's your best friend. The week comes and goes. A month comes and goes. Sometimes a year comes and goes. Sometimes they pay back. But that whole tsar period, the $10,000 that knew was going to happen now, and then you're embarrassed to look at him in shul, the whole thing. Comes Shemitah. He does this to you for 3 years. Yeah, I'm getting it. I'm coming in this. I'm coming tomorrow. The whole thing. Comes Shemitah, it gets erased, and that's it. You can't even. There's nothing. So because he did he wasn't beseder. He schlepped you for so long, but once Shemitah comes, you have zero time on him. Maybe he has to ask you mechila for I don't know what, for some tsar he caused you, but zero for the loan, even though he promised you for 30 days, and it's 5 years later, you got nothing, zero.
No, for stealing, basically.
It's not stealing. The Torah is mishamet. That's what I'm trying to tell you. He did not steal.
It's a technical steal. It's a technical.
Okay, you have a problem with
versus
this.
the third.
Correct.
That's why you do Manure versus the third.
Exactly. That's where the minhag comes from. You're right. Says Gemara. So if you have a prusbul, enoi mishamet, you must pay the loan back. This is one of the things that Hillel Hazaken instituted. People stopped lending money, and they were over on this pasuk. I believe we should read this pasuk and remember this pasuk. It might be a pasuk not everybody's very familiar with. You might say to yourself, how should I give a guy a loan? It's almost Shemitah. This is Vira with the ayin. You'll be bad. You'll have a vicious eye towards your brother, and who's poor. You're not going to give him money. If he comes to borrow money, you have a chiyuv, the eraisa, to give him money. When somebody comes to you to borrow money, you give him money. And he'll call to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a sin not to give him. So Hillel didn't want people to be over on this pasuk. It's mamish mefurish in the pasuk. The pasuk said you're going to be scared to lend money because it's going to get erased and he's going to be in novel b'shus Torah. Whatever is going to happen, but you're going to be out of your money. Too bad. You have to do it. It's a pasuk in the Torah. And as I mentioned, I don't know when I mentioned mamish recently, maybe a week, 2 ago, 3 weeks. I don't know. The Chavetz Chaim talks about this. How just imagine the guy is really, really poor. And he tells his family, there's a guy in shul, and I know exactly when I'm going to catch him right before mincha, and I'm going to put on this suit, and I'm going to come, and I'm going to trap him, and I'm going to say this word, and then he's going to say that, and I'm going to tell him that. And Bekitzer, Beis Hashem, he's going to give us a nice loan of $500, and it's going to be unbelievable. And he comes to the rich guy, and the rich guy just doesn't even pay attention. He says, get out of here. He says, can you imagine the tsar of him and his whole family? You don't understand what goes on behind until a guy comes to you for the loan. How much machshava went into it, and how much planning. You don't care. You just like go like that. Okay. Omad v'hiskim prusbil. V'zeh guf prusbil. And what does it say? I'm telling you, you dayanim. So this is the prusbil I showed the other day. It doesn't say any of this, but this is the idea, I guess. Basically, I'm giving my loan to Bezdin. They are the ones that do the avera of collecting the loan. You just are their shliach and you go knocking on his door. But it's Bezdin that's doing it for you. They're over. That's the trick. That's the way to get around it. And who signs that the Yanim could sign or Eidim? Fine. Ask the Gemara. So check this out. Ask the Gemara. So look on top. Midaraisa, the Torah says this Shemitah. Shemitah comes and he erases all loans. Red. You don't get paid. It's bad. Red. V'hiskin Hillel comes Hillel green. He says, go to the bank, collect your money. How could Hillel do something like that? How could the Torah says you don't collect the loan? Comes Hillel says you could collect the loan. Omar Abaye b'shviz bizmanazeh v'rebihi, because Hillel holds like Rebbe. So let me see if I have this, just to show you what's going on here, just for a second, because we saw this. Who's Hillel? Hillel lived 100 years before the Churban Abaye Sheni. Rebbe is Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, the author of Shas. So Hillel is Rebbe's great-grandfather's great-grandfather. But he's, Rebbe's Mishnayos. He authored Mishnayos. What did I say? Gemara? Okay. Okay, Mishnayos. She's the Mishnah. He's the direct descendant. But Hillel holds like his great-great-great-great-grandson, Rebbe. Okay, then what? So, this is the pasuk. So if you notice, it says the word Shemitah twice. Hashmita Shamayt. We're actually talking about 2 different types of Shmitas. Shmitas Karka, the famous Shemitah that we're all familiar with, that on Shemitah you can't plant, you have to let the land rest. Shmitas Ksafim, you have to let your money rest. If somebody owes you money, you can't collect. One is dependent on the other. That's called a hekesh. Since the 2 words are in the same pasuk, we have a hekesh, one word to the other, one shmita to the other. So bizman hazeh, since we don't have shmita doiraisa, says Rebbe, so we don't have shmitas ksafim. So with doiraisa you could collect the loan. So let's go back to this now. So now it's green, red, green. Not red, green. The Gemara said, how can you go from red to green? How could you say, the Torah says you cannot collect, and Rebbe says you could collect. So the Gemara, no, that's not what happened. The Torah says you could collect. Why could you collect? Because there's no Shemitah b'zman hazeh. And what about Hillel, who lived in the time of the Beis HaMikdash where there was Shemitah? Says Rashi, but there's no Yovel. You didn't have most of Klal Yisrael. So midaraisa, even in the time of Hillel, if you hold like his great-great-great-grandson, there's no Shemitah, even in the time of Beis Hamikdash. Chachamim came along and they said, there is Shemitah, don't pay. If you're a loiva, don't pay. Why? Returning to Daf Yomi Beis, v'takinu rabbanon Neshama zech l'shvius, so that people don't forget this idea of Hashmatas Ksafim. I barely knew this halacha until Shemitah came along, and I remember when I was a kid, we did a principle once, but that's about it. People don't know about the halacha Shemitah Ksafim. So I need to institute, hey, you're all going to lose your loans. Shemitah's coming up. Don't forget this halacha. Says Hillel, wait a minute. But people stop lending money. It's a big problem. So let me go back to the Torah, that there is no Shemitah today. So all Hillel did was reverse it to what the Torah says to do. The Torah says no Shemitah. I'm saying there's no Shemitah because I saw there's a reason. Let me undo what Chachamim say. We just turned to Amud Beis. No? Oh, we don't have no sponsor. I'll say Givaldik for a second. Okay, you say people should step up. Givaldik. If you feel like the only place to put your sponsorship is on Amud Beis and there's a lot of people that love it, go ahead. Givaldik. I also do. 2 spaces available. Ro Hillel, Shenuna Amilal, he says, Amud Beis Prusbal. Givaldik. Ask the Gemara, but you didn't solve the problem. Okay, so it started with green. So how do you go to red? The same question that I did before. If it's red, how do you go to green? So if it's green, how do you go to red? If the Torah says that there's no Shemitah and you, loiva, owe me $1,000, how could the Chachamim say that the loiva doesn't owe $1,000? He's stealing. By the loiva not paying, the loiva is a gazlan. So what's the answer? What's everybody going to say? No. Huh? Hefker bezin hefker. Unbelievable. Says Habaya something that we didn't think of. That the Chachamim have the ability to say, don't take action. For instance, as Rashi by lulav and esrog and shofar. The Torah is mechayev you to shake a lulav on Shabbos, and Chacham said, don't shake. How could Chacham be oiker a mitzvah d'oraisa? Because it's Sheval Taisa. Don't shake. They didn't say do shake against the Torah. They said don't shake. Just don't do anything. So we're also don't pay back your loan. Don't pay back your loan. They have the power to do. Rav Omar hefker bezin hefker. Huh? I don't have that in my Gemara. No. You guys have hefker bezin hefker hoya. Interesting. Yosef doesn't have it, so I don't know. Does our school have hoya? Interesting. Okay, so if our school has it, we're going to read it. Hefker bezin hefker hoya. Huh? Hefker bezin hoya hefker. I don't know what that means. I just don't know what the hell is. I'm lost. What?
It was put in because the Kahen it's not today.
It's the censor, he's saying. Very good. That makes sense. That not to upset the goyim, that hefker bezin hefker, so they put it in, but it's not. And they said haya. It used to be hefker bezin, but we don't do it anymore. But it's not true. We do hefker bezin today. Fine. The Amar Rabbi Yitzchak minayin hefker bezin hefker. Haya hefker. Okay. So, anyways, Rav's answer goes on both ways. Whether you learn that Rabbanon were Meshamet the Malva, or whether you say like now, like in Rebbe, that there's no Shemitah. Either way you say it. If Rabbanon said that you shouldn't pay, or Rebbe said you should pay, either way, it comes from Hefker Bezin Hefker. We're taking either from the Malva or we're taking from the Loiva. So you have to use Hefker Bezin Hefker. When Ezra came back to Eretz Yisrael, and he noticed that people are married to Goyas, to Shiksas, so he said, whoever doesn't divorce his wife, we're going to punish him. What are we going to do? We're going to take away his belongings. What is that called? Hefker Bezin Hefker. Yochram kol rechusha, we're going to take away his belongings. And he's not going to be part of the community. So you see, Hefker Bezin Hefker. I have another right. It should say Roshei, the leaders. What's the avos? The fathers. Just like a father, according to this shita, has the right to give one son more than the other son when he's alive, like a gift mechayim, according to Tzman so too, the leaders could also decide based on hefker bez and hefker. They could take from this, shave it, give to that one, or whatever. Did Hillel institute this idea of prusbul only for his generation? What's the difference? Could our generation take a look and say, listen, we're very generous, we're mevatel. I know a person, he's a big tzaddik. This guy came here once, he drove all the way here, I think it was a 2-hour trip, just to tell me something, he happened, whatever. A tzaddik. He refuses to do a prusbul, and all his chayvus is Michael. Why? Because the Torah says, Shemitah, he doesn't want to play games. Every day he says goodbye to me. He's such a cute guy. Shiva bacher. He has to leave now. He waves to me goodbye. Okay. Then if it's for generations, if it's only for his generation, you could be mevatel in our generation. But if he did it for all generations, here, first of all, hefker bez and hefker we had already. Okay, that's one. This is shas. Another one is this one right over here, that a bezdin of one generation cannot overturn anything that the bezdin in front of before it instituted. If a bezdin in a previous generation said something, that's it. Unless you're greater than that bezdin, you decide we have bigger talmidei chacham than that bezdin, and we're more than them. Okay, so did Hillel institute a prusbul for all generations? Tashma adam shmuel likasvin prusbul ella I bebeidina the surah I bebeidina the narda. So here we have a beautiful map that Yoshi drew. This is it's a little hard maybe to see. You have Shmuel in purple on top. He's from Narda, and you have Rav in gold on the bottom of the map in surah. Those are the two Batei Dinim, the great Rav and Shmuel, the famous Rav and Shmuel. In those Batei Dinim, you could do a prusbul in no other bezdin. What does that tell us? If you think about it today, we do prusbul in front of 3 yo-yos or whatever you want to call them, far from being Rav and Shmuel. They're just regular average people. So you see that he says it's only in those two Batei Dinim. Tashma Adam Shmuel, like it's been in prusbul, Eli Beidina the surah of Rav, Beidina the Narda Shmuel. Bisok the Dore. If he did it for all generations, why only in this special Batei Dinim? It should be in all Batei Dinim. I remember during like Shemitah now, with the people writing prusbul right before, so there's like signs. Oh, you could do it in a mahudadik way, with a chashav, a bezdin chashav, so and so. Then we get in Hillel, l'darei alma, kigoyim beidin today. Maybe that Guf was the takana that Hill said that it's for all generations, but only in very chashav Batei Dinim. Ukaravami, like in the Batei Dinim of Ravasi, who actually asked this kasha. Dalim lafkui memoina. They are powerful enough to remove money, to do hefker bezin. Okay, so we don't have an answer yet. Was Hillel Masaka and prusbul for all generations? Tashma Adam Shmuel. Ha prusbula ulbana the dayanahu. It's an embarrassment. It's a chutzpah of the dayanim. It's a chutzpah that dayanim use a prusbul. Why? Because they're doing something shloike din. The Torah says you should not collect a loan, and they're going ahead and they're collecting. Iyasher chayil aftaline. By the way, chutzpah doesn't mean just because a parent doesn't like something, it's chutzpah. Chutzpah means that if a kid deliberately does something to upset the parent, that's chutzpah. But anyway, he says, if I had power, I would get rid of, I would do away with the whole prusbul. Says Gemara, aftaline. How could someone in a later generation undo something from a previous generation? We just learned you can't do that unless you're greater, and he's certainly not greater than Hillel. Who's greater than Hillel? If I was greater than Hillel, in other words, I wish I was greater than Hillel, so I am not, and I never will be, so MEIR is going to stay as is. But had I had the power, then I would have done it. I don't like this idea of prusbul. Rav Nachman Omar Fakert. I came in. I love prusbul. I'm going to institute it. Ask the Gemara, I came in. What do you mean I'm going to institute it? It is instituted. It's instituted. Ha mekayim v'koy. Hachikama. Ema bei milsa. Da'afagav deloy kosav kekosav dami. I love prusbul so much that if somebody forgot to write a prusbul, I'm going to do it for him. You don't have to write a prusbul. I'm going to darshan that you don't even have to write a prusbul. It's as if you gave your loan to the bezdin. Ibaylahu. Ask the Gemara. Hi ulbana. What does ulbana mean? I already told you because Rashi says it. Listen to chutzpahu. Is it a lashon of it's a chutzpah of the dayanim, or listen to nechusahu? In other words, let's get rid of prusbul because it's such a pain in the neck for bezdin. Imagine the last few days right before you can't do a prusbul. The line's out the door. So we're going to give them a little vacation. No more prusbul. Nichus of the bezdin. They're loving it. Tashmad ma'ula aluva kala shezinsa bekerev chupasa. When the kala, us Klal Yisrael, it's terrible if you think about what happened. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the Torah, Matan Torah, with all the Nissim and everything. And what did Klal Yisrael do? I mean, we can't even understand it. It's not for us to understand. They made an egel. It's cheating on the husband. We're the wife, but at the chuppah, right after the chasen, a minute later. So aluva, what does aluva mean? Shameful. Klal Yisrael should be ashamed of themselves. So it's a lashon of chutzpah, not a lashon of great. We're having a vacation. Or Amari, Barod Bas Shmuel, and Rashi always says all of Shas that we don't want to mention Rav Mari's father, so we call him the daughter of the son of the daughter of Shmuel, because the daughter of Shmuel was captured, and a guy had relations with her, and he's the product of that relation. It happens to be that his father became a ger later on, and so but we don't want to mention him. Mikra, Achamelach b'mesiboy nirdi nosan reichoy. It's a pasuk in Shir Hashir that the king is still there by his. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's sad. It's unbelievable. Because Baruch was sitting there at his party, Kaviyachal. He just gave the Torah, Nisim Gluyim, Nevuah that the Shifcha Hayam saw Nevuah that no Cheskem and Buzi, and the smell of the perfume dissipated. So the Gemara says, but even we did such a terrible thing, even though we did such a terrible thing, HaKadosh Baruch Hu still loves us. He gave. Not that Klal Yisrael smelled it up, but that he gave a nicer lashon just to show how much HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves us with everything that we did. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful day.